So we're going to look at three things today. I want to show you guys how to clean your prints, and then or your negatives, excuse me, and then also I'm going to show you guys do a brief talk on dodging and burning. So cleaning, there's two things that we have in here that we can use for cleaning that I have for you. One is we have an air compressor. Now before I turn the air compressor on and use it, I want to talk about using an air compressor and never ever canned air. Okay, why not canned air? Because there's chemicals in it. Okay, so you can actually damage your negatives by using canned air on your negatives. So it's not the greatest compressor. This is the same compressor that we had on campus when I was a student a very long time ago, Harbor Freight. It's loud. It's actually a. Oh, you're saying get one from Harbor Freight.
That's what it is.
It's a Bessler. This is actually a photographic supply company. This is a compressor specifically for compressing air for photographs.
Wow.
So first step to see, and I actually do have some nastiness on this negative. I already saw because I did a test strip for the dodging and burning I'm going to do with you guys. So I did find some nastiness on here, but the first thing you want to do the least invasive thing possible. So I'm just going to hit it with air. And as you can hear, the compressor is not super strong anymore. I lose pressure pretty quickly with this old guy, but it still does work. And notice that I'm not hitting it straight on. I'm kind of angling. And I'm just trying to get, and I did let it slide in there, any loose dust off that I can. Okay? Now the other thing that we have available to us, and I'm going to leave that on, so sorry about that. We have two things here. Now, I still have this, but I've actually moved on from using it. We actually have like a kind of commercial grade negative cleaner that you can use. I have found through research and now experience that using isopropyl alcohol is just as effective and cheaper. Okay? I got comedians behind the camera. Okay, so would you hold that for me? Okay. So just put a little bit in the cap.
Any particular measurement, like 97, or what's the other one that they sell?
This one's just, yeah. It's not that big of an issue.
It's not going to hurt the film?
No.
Okay.
Now, you want to be careful with this. And you're going to use a Q-tip. And you want to be careful, where you want to be really careful is the emulsion side, okay? So the glossy side, that doesn't actually have the material that has the density that's basically containing your image information. So you don't have to be as careful with this side, okay? But on this side, this is a little bit more delicate, the emulsion side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of alcohol on it, and then I'm just going to lightly try to clean it off, and it should dry fairly well without streaks. Now just kind of look for any spot issues. Okay? And I'm going to really just take a quick peek at this and see if I even see anything here. And I don't see anything on this side that bothers me. I was mostly just doing this for demo purposes. So if I don't have to touch the emulsion side, I am not going to. Okay? And then I'm going to hit it one more time with the compressed air. Just going to give it a little quick look. And I kind of like to, notice how I'm kind of like tilting. I'm trying to I'm purposely putting a glare on the negative because that will allow me to see anything like dust, lint on the negative, as opposed to if I look straight at it, I can't see much of anything. So I'll just look real quick again, just hit it again, just to see if I can get any more dust off of it, if there was anything there, and it also dries that off. Okay, so I have pre-made a test strip to just speed things along. And what I've done here is this is a +2 poly contrast filter, and this was a shot at night. That's actually the moon there. We're not going to get a lot of detail at it. I just think it's maybe a good example of something that I might want to do some burning on to darken up the sky while not darkening the foreground too much. So these, you see here, these are actually intervals of 3 seconds. So this, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and 24. And actually, I think I may even want to try and go even further with the sky, because what I kind of want to do, like I said, this is the moon. This is actually after the sun had gone down, and I was shooting eastward. But what I want to do is I want to basically retain these large hay bales in the foreground, the detail there, but then perhaps darken up the sky enough to maybe even get a little bit of detail in the moon. I have no idea if I'm going to get anything. Right now I see a little bit of darkness on the bottom portion of it, but it's pretty well blown out. So I might not be able to get much out of it, but I just thought it'd be a good thing to try on. So what I'm going to do with, so imagine, I've basically cropped this so it's kind of vertical. So the hay bales are across the bottom, and then I have the sky at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose it twice. And it looks like I'm probably going to want to go somewhere. I don't even know if I want to go all the way to 9 for my foreground. But I want to get darker here in the background, all right? But, probably significantly darker, maybe even up to 24, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when I print the entire image, I'm going to print the entire image for, perhaps 8 or 9 seconds. And then I'm going to hold something above the paper to obscure the light. And I'm just going to kind of lightly move it like this so I get a softer edge. I don't want a hard edge. So that the additional light that is hitting will only hit the top portion of it. And I may actually even kind of sit up in the sky a little bit, so that if I'm going to get a little bit of glow, it's right at the edge of the landscape, and that the darkest areas are still going to be at the top.
For an extra 15 seconds?
Yeah, something like that. I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll see what it looks like. The tone
You can actually
in the
see,
moon.
Is that a cloud?
Yes,
on the moon?
I
So
believe
it's
it
really
was
not a
actually.
cloud.
Is that what you were going for?
Thank you. Yeah, that is kind of what I was going for. So actually, the haloing effect wasn't so bad. So I actually did okay with the dodging. But that's what you have to be careful with, is when you do dodging and burning, you don't want the lines that you've used to be perceivable.
So should you have moved it around more?
No, I think that I probably, if I wanted to do a little bit more, I might want to go with a longer exposure time, stop it down a little bit, and then just try to be a little bit more careful staying along those lines.
So maybe
So-
even cut out your. Oh, I guess you were cut out pretty well.
I
but-
did, because I basically,
Traced that.
I cut this whole thing out, so basically I had a sheet of paper that had this contour. But, it didn't work out. It's a little too dark overall. My foreground got darker than I wanted it to be, and that's probably, it looked like it had better contrast before, so I was probably getting some bounce around. So, and there's, I could maybe lay something over a little
Let it
closer.
bounce a little bit.
Well, I could, I had 2 pieces that I was holding together. I could maybe try putting one down on top, and then using the contoured sheet over the top.
So with the hay being as detailed as it is, would you want to do that longer exposure to get more detail in there? Is that what you would do,
Well-
or would you just put a different contrast filter on there?
If I wanted to get more contrast out of that, I probably would want to up the contrast filter on this. Go to a 3 and see what that looks like. The problem is that, as you can see, there's so much grain, and when I put a higher a more aggressive contrast
There's
filter
gonna be
on
more
that,
grain?
the grain is going to be accentuated.
So,
So-
should you have changed your ISO? I mean,
Oh,
the speed of
I
your film.
was shooting 400. I think it was just because it was dark, and I'm just kind of maybe push. And it's also, you have to understand, the original image is
Oh.
like.
No, I'm saying if you totally did a different grade of film, would that have?
If I had actually shot that same image, shot it maybe a little bit closer, and shot a 100 or a 200 speed film, it would have been a little cleaner. Yes.
Okay.
But the fact that I shot at 400 and then I'm blowing up to this size, you know, I've just cropped that little area because I wanted to see if I could get some tone out of the moon there. That's why I'm getting so much grain. Okay. Questions? All right. All right, thanks guys.